may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
All right, guys, I want to give y'all a massive thank you, not only for myself, but for everyone else in the flock, as y'all have been going down there and in that comment section asking your start-sit questions. But what I really like to see is I like to see that we are answering each other's start-sit questions, where if you go down there, you see a question, you see a couple replies, and that's exactly what I want to see. I want to see us working together to take home our championships this season. We are finally in the fantasy football playoffs, so start-sit decisions are more important now than ever. So please go down to that comment section, find some questions that were asked, and give them your opinion, because I say this all the time. I am not the flock. We are all a part of the flock. We all need to be working together. Your opinion is just as valuable as mine, if not more. So please give it to some people in the YouTube comment section. Okay, well, that's it. Now let's get into the video. And this video was brought because y'all told me in the comment section that this is what y'all wanted to see. We are going to be talking about the 2020 Fantasy Football MVPs. And let's start it off with the player that I know everybody loves. Y'all want me to get a jersey from him, Younghoe Koo. Okay, Younghoe Koo, really, I don't need to talk about him too much. I mean, so many people have asked me in the live streams this season if they should be holding on to him through his bye week, if they should be plugging him in to play every single week. And of course, the answer has always been yes, as he is the #1 kicker on the season. Former New England Patriot, former Los Angeles Charger. Now he is with the Atlanta Falcons. And with Younghoe Koo, I mean, surprisingly, sometimes he goes out there and he'll put up a 20-point performance, outscore your running back one, and really, you just don't need to win that matchup, but you're winning anyway because of that random kicker production. Okay, so now let's go over to the wide receiver position, and let's talk about someone that has honestly been one of the fastest risers in fantasy football in 2020, DK Metcalf. Okay, so if y'all follow our Dynasty Fantasy Football channel, y'all know with DK Metcalf, this is a wide receiver that I ranked as our #1 Dynasty asset a few weeks back. I'm sorry, not Dynasty asset, Dynasty wide receiver. Obviously, there's some running backs we'd prefer over him, but that's for a separate channel, separate video. Here with DK Metcalf, you drafted him coming into the season in the 4th or 5th round, and he is currently the wide receiver 3 in both points per game and total points so far in 2020. And guys, whenever I'm talking about these fantasy MVPs, I'm not going to be talking about the player that you drafted in the 1st round, like a Dalvin Cook or a Derrick Henry, who's the highest scoring player on the season, because you drafted them in the 1st round expecting that type of production. I'm going to be talking about the guys that you took later on in your draft that really came out of nowhere to give you a ton of production plus some. So here, that's exactly what we're seeing with DK Metcalf. I know he hasn't given you that elite production in the past few weeks, but if you take a step back and you look at what he's been able to provide for you in 2020 so far, I mean, it is fantastic. Okay, so now our next wide receiver, someone that y'all know I have a massive man crush on. This is going to be Justin Jefferson. Okay, so here with Justin Jefferson, I know that the majority of us in our redraft leagues actually got him off the waiver wire. Obviously, if you play in Dynasty Fantasy Football, no chance Jefferson was on your waiver wire. But here, after 2 weeks, I mean, I really did not think that we were going to see any production coming from Justin Jefferson, as this was a wide receiver that we loved coming into the NFL draft, but he really got no positive hype for him during training camps, while all the other rookie wide receivers across the NFL had their beat reporters talking about how they were going to be the best wide receiver on their team. Look at a CeeDee Lamb, look at a Jerry Jeudy, where everybody was going insane for them during training camps. Justin Jefferson, there were no positive blurbs, yet he's the one who has come out and he's put up the most impressive rookie wide receiver season in 2020, the year of the rookie wide receiver. I am standing by the fact that I think with T. Higgins, with CeeDee Lamb, with Jerry Jeudy, with Justin Jefferson, with Denzel Mims, I mean, all of these rookie wide receivers are coming together to make the best rookie wide receiver class we have ever seen. but Jefferson has been the guy that's been incredibly efficient. He's the wide receiver 9 in points per game currently, but if you take out the first 2 weeks where the Minnesota Vikings were using him not in the correct way, where they were trying to play him as that big slot wide receiver similar to a Michael Thomas, since then they moved him to the outside. They asked him to run a little bit deeper downfield, and now Justin Jefferson is the wide receiver 4 in points per game since week 3. I mean, a guy that you most likely got off the waiver wire, that's a top 5 wide receiver overall. I mean, if we take a step back, if we look at what the win rates are going to be for fantasy players this season, I think that Justin Jefferson is going to have one of the highest win rates across every player in the entire NFL. Okay, so now let's go to our next wide receiver, someone that I need to come out here and apologize for. I mean, if y'all have been following the channel for a very long time, I did not like this wide receiver coming into 2020, but he has been a complete smash. This is Keenan Allen. Okay, obviously Keenan Allen is coming off of 2 bad weeks right now, but if you take a step back, like we are doing, we are looking at the entire 2020 season. Keenan Allen is actually the wide receiver 4 in points per game, and this is based on the fact that Justin Herbert has been one of the most impressive rookie quarterbacks that we have ever seen. Here, I did not think that Keenan Allen was going to be able to provide us anything close to this with Tyrod Taylor under center, but lucky for Allen, lucky for every other player in this Los Angeles Chargers offense, we got that transition over to Justin Herbert, who's been able to elevate every player in this offense as he is one of the premium quarterbacks across the entire NFL. Keenan Allen seeing a consistent target share every single week in this offense, a true target hog at the position when we really don't have that many left in the entire NFL. Keenan Allen, I think we have to acknowledge the fact that you probably took him in that similar range of a DK Metcalf back in round 4, 5, 6, and now being a top 5 wide receiver on the season, clearly a very strong play. Okay. Now let's go to the running back position, and here I'm only going to be talking about one running back. I know that there could be a couple other players on this list, but I really want to highlight James Robinson. Okay, here I owe y'all another massive apology. As y'all know, if you've been following the channel for a while, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, after we saw the switch from Gardner Minshew, I was saying that Minshew was by far and away the best quarterback on this roster, and James Robinson was not going to have that elite upside with the Jacksonville Jaguars offense being one of the worst offenses in the entire NFL. But clearly, I was just flat out wrong, as James Robinson has been one of the most dominant running backs in fantasy football, just nonstop going out there and getting a workload that we were drooling over. I mean, he is seeing about 25 touches every single game. Not only the carries between the tackles, but also the targets out of the backfield, which we know is so valuable. I mean, one of the best undrafted rookie running backs that we have ever seen. He looks like he's on track to be the next Arian Foster. I mean, truly historic what we were seeing with James Robinson in a very bad offense this season. Clearly an MVP as you got him off the waiver wire, giving you top 5 running back production. Just unreal. Okay, so now let's get to our next player. We're going to go over to the quarterback position here, and I am so excited to talk about him, Kyler Murray. Okay, guys, y'all know that Kyler Murray has been one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time. If you were following our Dynasty Fantasy Football channel going into the 2019 NFL Draft, I was having everybody target Kyler Murray in their rookie drafts, as Kyler Murray was one of the most impressive high school quarterbacks of all time. Then he went to Oklahoma after transferring from Texas A&M and put up the most impressive college quarterback season of all time until we saw Joe Burrow, and then drafted in the first overall pick by the Arizona Cardinals, showing us that rushing equity. I mean, Kyler Murray has checked every box that you would ever want to see for him to be not only an elite NFL quarterback, but also an elite fantasy quarterback, and he's currently the quarterback 2 in points per game, only behind Dak Prescott. So clearly, if we had a larger sample for Dak, maybe Dak would not be at the number 1 spot and Kyler Murray would be that number 1 overall quarterback. I know he's been a little bit disappointing the past few weeks based on the shoulder injury, and he's running the ball a little bit less. But here, like I said with all these other players, we're not focusing in on what happened last week. We're taking a step back. We're looking at 2020 through the entire season. And here, Kyler Murray has been an MVP at the quarterback spot, because you most likely drafted him around quarterback 6 or 7, and being the number 1 option week in and week out, clearly a complete smash. Now, our last player that we're going to talk about is not necessarily someone that's going to jack up your win rate, but someone that I think that we need to reevaluate our draft process going into 2021 and really say that he is a guy that should be going a lot earlier than he just went. Travis Kelce. Okay, so y'all know with Travis Kelce, I actually did not end up with him on that many rosters in 2020 based on the fact that I was targeting George Kittle in that same range. But honestly, I think that draft process of getting that elite tight end option at the end of the first round, the beginning of the second round, is exactly what we want to be doing going forward. Because if you look at the production that you've seen from a Travis Kelce, who's managed to stay healthy the entire season, I mean, he is doubling, consistently doing it, the tight end 5 or tight end 6 every single week. So when you know you're rolling out the Travis Kelce in your tight end spot, you are automatically getting a 10-point advantage over your opponent, unless you're going up against the Darren Waller with the New York Jets or something. I mean, but obviously that's not something you're expecting every week. I mean, I think that both Travis Kelce and George Kittle would have been complete smashes this season. With the George Kittle injury, that makes Travis Kelce the lone man at tight end that I think we have to acknowledge is a complete force, really someone giving you a massive edge over your opponents. Now, thank you guys. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. I really hope y'all got something from it. As always, if y'all did, go down there, drop that like, leave that comment, subscribe to the channel. It really, really helps us out. And I hope I'll see you on the live stream tonight, tomorrow night, or Sunday morning.